Cooper. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, man.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me.
I'm trying to think whether I want to start with your resume or whether I want to start with just a blunt question. I'll give you the blunt question. Were you a better defender than Draymond Green?
Well, I think I was a different type of defender. I think Draymond's more physical. I'm not saying that I wasn't, but Draymond's bigger player at 6'8", 6'9", I guess. And I think he's willing to do whatever it takes for his team to win, whether it's dirty tactics or not. But again, he's getting the job done. But I was able to guard 1 through 4, and Draymond's able to guard 1 through 5.
Yeah, but the centers were different back in your day.
For sure. So I think if he had played in the 80s, no way he's going to be guarding Artis Gilmore or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Lambeer or some of those guys like that. But again, in today's game, he's able to do that, and that makes him an extraordinarily good defender.
Coop, you played in 168 playoff games. It was something we were talking about earlier with the Lakers and the Warriors. LeBron James, he's played in nearly 280. When you were going through those wars over 12 postseasons, were there ever times where you felt like there wasn't a game that you needed? Because we're talking about must-wins and the Warriors getting back in this series and the Lakers maybe not having as much desperation as Golden State. Is that something that you as a player ever sensed, even though you played in a different era? The fact that you guys went through so many different battles with different teams, was there an occasional game here or there where you knew that it wasn't necessarily a must-win, and you could, kind of look ahead a little bit?
Pat Riley always mentioned championships are won on the road. So if we started our game at home, we knew a must-win game was going to be that next game on the opponent's court. And I think this game coming up is definitely going to be a must-win for the Lakers, even though it's a home game. And I know Golden State is still in the same way. So this is a big game for both teams, this next one coming up. But every time we play, if we had lost a game and it was going 1-1 somewhere, whether we were coming back home or going on the road, that third game was always a must-win. But, our team was built around every game was important for us, because it was about getting the series over with. And going back to what you said about LeBron playing all those games, you got to remember, we didn't have load management back then. So we were playing 82 games our regular season. We didn't sit out 50 games and try to save our energy for the playoffs. So I think our schedule or my 168 games were a little bit more grueling because I tried to play 82 games all the way through the course of the season and then went into the playoffs and did whatever we did then.
Michael Cooper joining us. He's a 5-time NBA champion with the LA Lakers. That's actually an interesting point that I hadn't thought of, but now I'm putting myself back in the 80s, Michael, and the East was brutal, and Boston would have to get by Detroit. Milwaukee was good, and Philly. And the idea of you guys wanting to get series over in a hurry because that's the way you got more rest, I think is very interesting.
Oh, for sure. And again, as you finish off the regular season and get into the playoffs, and especially those first rounds and you get by that, you wanted to get these games. The more you extend it, the more fatigued you were going to be and the more likely somebody would get injured. So for us, it was about if we had a team down 2-0, we were going in for the kill because we know if we got that third game, we could possibly get this series over in 5.
Right.
And I think players are definitely looking like that. I'm loving this series. The Lakers-Golden State Warriors was a great game. I knew the Lakers were going to lose last night. I just had a feeling because Golden State had expended a lot of energy in that Sacramento 7th game that there was a good chance if the Lakers were going to steal a game, it would be that first game at home. But expect the Warriors to come back. They have the heart of a champion. They understand what's going on. They got that last game. And this next game is going to be important. I don't think either team is thinking about getting this over with in a hurry.
Right.
Because, again, you got two teams. I think the Lakers are a very formidable foe. I think the Lakers are going to win a championship this year. And if they can get by this series here, which I think they will, probably be a 7-game series, then they can think about that. But right now, you can't think about getting this team 4-1, 4-2. You got to look at it game by game and just win the games that you can. And hopefully if it gets over in 6, then you can get it done, or in 5, in any case it goes. But for sure it's going, you're looking forward to that 7th game.
Michael Cooper joining us on 95.7 The Game, a mainstay of the Lakers dynasty in the 1980s. Michael, the one thing that I think is different now than it used to be is it feels like after every single playoff game, we say, oh, well, now the Warriors are going to win the series. And the Lakers will win game 3, and we'll say, oh, now it's over. The Lakers are going to win the series. And then subsequently, the Warriors would win. You played a game 1 in the mid-'80s against the Celtics. You got beaten game 1, 148-114. It has a nickname, the Memorial Day Massacre.
Yeah.
And you won that series. So my question is, what happened after game 1 when you got run out of the building?
Well, you know what? We got beat, and I think that was 1985.
Yep.
And what we did is after that game, we had a reflection on 84. And, you know, me growing up here in Los Angeles, watching how the Celtics beat the Lakers with some of the great Laker teams that they've had with Elgin Baylor, West, and Chamberlain, you know, we just shook ourselves. And Coach Riley put it on us. You know, we watched that game twice in stop time. Every time we did something wrong after that game, we came straight back to the hotel, went straight to a ballroom and watched the game for 2 hours. So we were up to like 10:30, 11, and he just challenged us. And, you know, we had enough. We had to reevaluate ourselves because the Celtics were being physical with us in 84. They came out that first game and got real physical with us, and we just had to man up at that time. And I think what you're seeing now, trying to compare that series with what's happening today, I think the Warriors have made their punch. They threw their punch. Lakers now are coming home. You can't rest on your laurels. You got to make your adjustments and come on out. And I think, obviously, AD having a monster game he had that first game, he has to reevaluate himself because you can't come out the second game and play that. Was it 7.4 rebounds or whatever? You got to come with your A game every time because you are playing the defending champions, and they're not going to go down easy.
Well, you're talking about not going down easy. They went 7 games with Sacramento, but before Game 7, it was reported there was a speech made by Stephen Curry, took the mic, established both what he wanted to accomplish and what he wanted from his teammates. I'm curious, as someone who's been in a locker room with the likes of Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was there any, I don't know if it was a speech, some sort of conversation in which they led that you felt like galvanized your group to the point of, you know, maybe it's not in the finals, but when you guys had your backs up against the wall, was there a time when Magic or Kareem took the floor the way that Stephen Curry did with Golden State?
Well, you know what? Magic did it. The 1980, when we were missing Kareem in that sixth game going to Philadelphia, Magic, he just said a sentence. He got on the plane. He saw that everybody was kind of nervous and Cat wasn't going to be there. And he said, you know what? Have no fear. Magic Johnson's here. And when you got a young guy like that saying that, going to Philadelphia, and, you know, the rest is history because he had 42 points, 15 rebounds, 15 assists, those type of statements from at that time, Magic wasn't necessarily our leader. Kareem was kind of our leader. But for him to take that torch and to step up and say that kind of put us at ease. And we went into that next game and did. So great players do things that they have to do. And Steph Curry making that statement, I'm glad to hear that because, again, they were drained in that seventh game, the things that he did. And now to come back and make that statement for this second game to get his team back up and fired and ready to go, that's what you expect of your leaders. And you know what? At one point in time, it's going to be Steph. One time it may have to be Draymond. One time it may have to be Wiggins. Somebody's going to have to do it almost every game because adjustments are constantly being made. But Steph Curry, as Magic did in 1980, he has set the standard for what's going to be happening. So, you know, the Lakers going to have to be ready this next game because this could, you know, you did what you're supposed to do. You went and got a game on the road. You split, you come home. You got to take care of business. And the business at hand is tomorrow, first game at home.
Wasn't that the game Magic sat in Kareem's seat on the plane?
Yeah, same thing. But he got in before, and as he walked on the plane, he looked at all of us because back then we flew domestic and we had all the first class. Like, what's wrong with you guys? And everybody was kind of like, what? And he said, hey, listen, have no fear. Magic Johnson is here. And he turned around and he sat in that first seat right up front. And, I mean, that was, you know, the words weren't as dynamic as him sitting in Cap seat because we were kind of like, oh, that's holy ground. Nobody sits there. Everybody gets – no, he sat there. And he let us know that he was going to be the leader.
Yeah, he was that night. If I remember correctly, I want to say Keith Wilkes might have, or Jamal had 37 that night, maybe, or 30.
Hey, you know what? That's the thing about it. Magic had such a fantastic game. They forgot about Jamal Wilkes had a career-high 37 points.
Yeah.
That was overshadowed by that game. Michael Cooper had a career-high 17 points. First playoff game.
I'm sorry, who?
Playoff game ever. So everybody had big moments in that game, but it was all instituted and instrumented by Magic Johnson making his statement for all of us to stand up and be good. And you know what? The perfect example, he said that the other night, who steps up? Clay Johnson has a big monster game. So, again, hopefully the Lakers are doing that, but the Lakers just have to make their adjustments.
Let me check that box. I got Coop for 16 points.
16, okay.
I got Coop 4 for 9.
I'd only been averaging like 6 or 7 points a game.
Yeah, you played though. You played you were part of the rotation. That was only your second year. So
Exactly.
Man, hey, Michael, I try to tell the kids now how it was, but they don't want to hear it. I'm looking at your bio right now. 5 straight years we played all 82 games. And now they're load managing.
That was a badge of honor. I mean, back in those days, guys didn't want to miss games, especially on our team, because we always felt if you missed, somebody on the bench was going to say, hey, man, you playing tonight? And you say, no, okay, I got you. So those minutes were going to be absorbed by somebody, and you may not be able to get them back. So that was our flag badge of honor, so to say. But in today's game, because players are so bigger, stronger, faster, and things are moving a lot faster, and the game is more toward the offensive player where it's up-tempo, and that's why you have these high-scoring games. Load management can be a good and a bad thing. Because right now, when you're playing, you got to keep that rhythm. You got to keep that flow. So if you stop playing for a game or two, you got to get that back up. So, again, they do that in the regular season so that these guys can play these minutes now. That's my thinking.
No, it's interesting you say that, Coop, because after Game 1, Darvin Ham was asked about Anthony Davis's performance, how great it was, and him playing the entire second half. And his response was, that's why we load manage games. A player of yourself, a player that played 82 games, that prided themselves on being available and being effective as well. Is that just a difference of eras? Or how do you feel when you hear a head coach literally cite load management, not only admitting to it, but it also playing a role in being effective in helping one of his star players in the playoffs?
Well, like I said, it can work both ways, but I think the players in our era, and this is something that I think today's game has lost a little bit, and the guys got to get back to realizing it. You play for these fans. People pay to come see you play. That's why you get these monster contracts. So in a sense, we always said we owe it to the fans, whether it be at home or on the road, to come out and at least try. Come out there for 3 or 4 minutes. If you don't have it that night, hey, coach, I don't have it. But at least the fans can see you out there because they want to see you. You know, you come, especially you go to the East. When we only go on to Boston, Philadelphia, New York one time. So just the game before, the coach is, okay, I'm going to load management this guy. Hey, you got to remember, there's fans that are there, L.A. fans in New York that want to see you play. So for me, it was always about giving it back to the fans. And today's game is a little bit different. I understand what Coach Ham is trying to do, but again, you know, I wasn't that type of player. I wanted to, if I could get up and down the court and play, or get out and do layups, I was going to at least give it a try, hurt or not.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, we got to rewrite history here because everybody talks about Magic replacing Kareem. Well, Magic started every game. You were the guy who started really in place of Kareem that night because you'd been coming off the bench that whole series. He didn't pick Landesberger or Brad Holland.
You know what? I almost wet my jockstrap that night when they told me I was going to start. I was like, what? You're taking me out of my role. But you know what? We had been so accustomed to stepping out of roles that year because we had players. Kareem was hurt for a couple of games. Magic was hurt. So, again, I was scary, but I still went out there and did my job. And I was glad that I got to do that because I got a chance to show not only the team but the world of basketball that Michael Cooper could play this game.
Yeah, he could. He sure could. Let me ask you this. You're coaching high school basketball. What kind of coach are you like?
Well, I got a mixture of Pat Riley, a little bit of Jerry West, and my college coach, Norm Ellenberger, in me. But, again, Pat Riley was very attention to detail and went over our practices real good. And I'm not a screamer. I do all my screaming in practice if I have to do it. But when the game starts, I just kind of like let the kids play. But I'm a demanding coach, not a coach that get up and walk up and down the sideline. When necessary, I'll do that. But I'm a sitter. I'll sit and watch. And it makes it comfortable. We had a very good season this past season. A team that really wasn't supposed to go anywhere. They said in our league, we're in the Bay League, and although we're a small 3A, they said we wouldn't win one game. Well, we won 8 games, and we were a game away from making it to state. So we had a very successful year, and we look for bigger and better things next year.
Terrific.
Coop, I'm curious because you mentioned the legend Pat Riley, and a lot is made in playoff series of adjustments, and Steve Kerr or a certain head coach playing chess. Like, how many adjustments did Pat Riley make over the course of a playoff series, if any?
You know what? You always make an adjustment. When you win a game, you kind of like leave things the same, whether it's the rotation of players or whether it was a defense or an offensive set. It's the adjustments are made when you lose that game. So there's going to be probably 4 adjustments that both teams will have to make. Obviously, the Lakers, it's their turn to make the adjustments. Golden State has made theirs. This next game is going to require whoever wins, there'll be another adjustment made. So it's not going to be anything drastic where fans will actually see. It might be the Michael Green. The kid that came in for Looney. Okay, Green. That's an adjustment. He hadn't been playing at all. Got very few minutes for Golden State in the Sacramento series. Now he's a starter in the second game because they need that adjustment. They need his jump shot. So Riles wasn't really big on a lot of adjustments. They're just very subtle ones because you got to keep that boat flowing and you got to keep things as normal as possible. But we do know as a team and as players that something has to be, especially when you lose a game, something has to change, whether it be a 3 defense a little bit more or man-to-man or whatever it is, an adjustment will be made. And the Lakers now have to make their adjustments after this loss. And, you're going to always see it's definitely going to be a chess match.
Mm-hmm. Coop, I keep telling the kids that when Kevin McHale took Kurt Rambis's head off, that was a common foul.
We definitely made an adjustment.
Yeah, you did. You absolutely did.
A little bit more physical with all of them. But again, those are the type of things that you see that players have to make at the spur of the moment in the game.
Yeah.
But as far as coaches, yeah, and you know what? You're right. Common foul, got a technical out of that, and we got up and kept on playing. Today's game, they spend 2 minutes kind of looking at it, referees discussing, and then, okay, with a flagrant 2, guy gets kicked out, or flagrant 1. Back then, hey, I'm a spontaneous guy. Make that play, make that call right there. Let's move on.
Yeah. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the series, man.
Thank you, guys.
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
It.
Michael Cooper, 5-time NBA champion.
He's the man.
Head coach at Culver City High School.